If you've been enjoying our podcast as much as we have and hope that we continue past 50 episodes, here's your chance. Here's your chance to help make that happen. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, not only will you help the Little House on the Prairie 50th Anniversary podcast to live on, but you'll also get exclusive content just for you.
Here's what's in store for you. Join monthly Q&A sessions where you can ask us about anything. Whether it's about our work, personal interests, or advice on your own projects, we're here to connect and share.
Enjoy unique content created specifically for Patreon subscribers, including bonus segments from our shows.
You'll have a say in what we create, and you'll have a voice in future content.
Benefit from exclusive discounts on merchandise and entries into special giveaways. It's our way of saying thank you for your support.
Receive personalized shout-outs in videos, podcasts, or social media posts.
Because your support on Patreon allows us to dedicate more resources to creating the content that you love.
You could join the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast community on Patreon and become a Prairie patron for just $5 a month. We thank you so much for your continued support, and we cannot wait to share our ongoing journey with you on Patreon.
We are extremely grateful for the support of VisitSimiValley.com and the city of Simi Valley's belief in Little House on the Prairie and their support of the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
Discover the charm of Simi Valley, California, the home of the prairie. Visit Simi Valley, where adventure meets history and the spirit of the prairie comes alive. Explore the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library, step aboard Air Force One, enjoy stunning hikes and savor delicious local cuisine. Whether you're here for a weekend getaway or a family vacation, Simi Valley offers something for everyone and is only 30 minutes from Los Angeles. Plan your visit today and experience the best of Simi Valley. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more details. Your adventure awaits in Simi Valley.
All right, here we are, rocking and rolling. Welcome, Bonnet Heads. Welcome back. It's great having you here. I am Pamela Bob, your host and the creator of Living on a Prairie. Thanks for checking it out. And I am here, as always, with our very lovable prairie bitch en français. Yes, she's still there. Oui, Miss Allison Arngrim. Hello, Allison.
Hello.
Bonjour.
Not too much candy. Not too much candy. I love it.
And we're also here with our hashtag imaginary boyfriend who's plotting and planning our 2025 adventures for Little House on the Prairie. That's right. It's Dean Butler. Hi, Dean.
Hi,
Butler.
Pamela. How are you? Hi, Allison. Hello in France. Yeah, no, I'm home. We're plotting and planning what we're going to be doing in 2025, and Allison's
now that you're finally home.
Yeah,
yes.
Allison's part of this core group. She's been participating in conversations across the Atlantic as we plan what we're going to be doing next. And no, I'm not going to announce anything right now because we're not prepared to announce anything. It wouldn't be appropriate, but you can be absolutely confident that there are some wonderful opportunities coming our way. The Little House love is going to roll on in 2025. Lots of Little House love in 2025 So we're looking forward to that.
We are brewing up the pot. And
ain't no party like a prairie party. That's right. Oh, that's my groceries that have just been delivered. If you heard that.
Oh, is that your buzzer? Your groceries are coming.
It's
all right,
fine.
good.
They're on the porch.
Good.
It's all
right,
good.
Good.
Anyway, enough of my goings-ons.
Well, no, you're
tonight.
Incredibly busy these days. I mean, you just did a workshop.
Am.
You're getting ready to start another workshop.
I know. It's been champagne problems being too busy these days. But no, I finished that workshop a couple weeks ago. I'm starting another workshop this week, which is very exciting. And of course, I'm preparing for my new show that we're doing at Green Room 42, December 4th, 6th, and 7th, the Twisted Christmas Show. We're on socials now, so you guys can check us out. Twisted Christmas Show.
Are you going to? Are you shooting any of this? Are you
yes,
going to?
So
okay.
the actual purpose of doing this go around is to get video of it so that we can really package it.
Nice.
And hopefully next season we'll have various Twisted Christmas shows all over the country. That's the goal.
I think you could do
and if you would like
twisting.
to invest, if anyone would like to invest in the arts, you can get a little producer credit, or just, maybe a shout out or something. We are starting a crowdsourcing campaign, I believe, on Friday. So honestly, if people would like to contribute.
Are you going to put that in the show notes?
I will. We're not launched officially yet. Friday, I think, but yes, I will. I will put it.
Launching Friday. I mean, put them in the show notes. Yeah.
Okay. I will be shameless about this.
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Our cast is ridiculous. We have someone from Mad TV in our cast, and we have lots of Broadway stars in our cast, and our choreographer,
awesome.
Sarah Jenkins, choreographer Unbreakable Kenny Schmidt, and Girls 5 Eva on Netflix, and yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be crazy. I'm going to be a crazy person until December 7th. Let's just put it that way. But it's all good stuff. Allison, you are still in France doing your French adventures. How's it going?
Wait, weren't you in Belgium?
It's going very well. Sun's going down, getting a little cool because we're out in the Basque region in the hills, out in this little, technically it's like camping. That's what I'm saying, like Wi-Fi tent, maybe. But it's just a lovely time, and there's these peppers. The Basque is all about the peppers. It's somewhere between paprika and cayenne. Yes, cayenne pepper.
Wow,
we are
that.
always being haunted.
We'll bring some.
It always comes back to cinnamon chicken. Yeah.
Cinnamon chicken. And so I got a jar of that and the hot sauce. And then they have chocolate with the pepper in it.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, yes.
Really?
It's surprisingly a great combination. Hot chocolate with some the hot chili pepper in it is
pepper chocolate. I have a whole bag of that.
Oh God, so jealous. Okay, very jealous of you. Like I've said it before. I'm a food traveler. So when I go somewhere, it's all about the food. The food is first and foremost.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, last week we were here with Charlotte Randall Yerke, which was amazing. And
talking about the Little House crew experience.
That's right. It was incredible.
Amazing. We've so many great people on the crew and so many great people who have played parts in front of the camera on our show.
Yes, and mysteriously are very important for one episode, and then we never hear from them ever again. Which is the Prairie way, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, today we're going to look back at a very, very special season 1 episode of Little House on the Prairie, because it's the first time we really see Laura crushing on someone, right? She had a lot of crushes on the show.
We have the very first man she crushed on. Very first. Long before, yes, the OG Rizzler himself.
God, I will never get over that team.
I love that too. It's so funny when people, when things like that come up, I have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, it's like they're speaking Greek. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's really fun. It's really fun. Not everybody can be an OG.
Oh no.
I mean,
No.
When you would be, a righteous dude, a heavy cat. Yeah, you're a heavy cat man, a righteous dude. Yes.
Okay.
Get all the old.
Oh, sure.
Although I will say our guest today is pretty OG because season 1.
Yeah.
And and it's everyone knows this episode.
Oh,
so
it's a fabulous
It was all about
episode.
it having the Ritz.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, no, it's one of my favorites.
It is bare feet, no less.
yes, we will get to that. Yes, of course. Before we get to that, though, speaking of crushing, we're crushing on you, our patrons on Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting us. We literally are able to do this podcast because of you and your support. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And also very exciting, we are looking good for our merch shop. So I believe we're going to be open for the holidays, and we have some really fun merch designs for you. It's all happening. It's in the works. So stay tuned. It's really exciting. And there will be more to come in 2025, which I had a good talk with Trip Friendly about that. So it's all happening. Yay, yay, yay.
Yeah, no, you've all been very patient, and thank you for that. And you'll be looking in the mail in the weeks ahead. Those of you who did not get Allison's first 50 communication, actually it's the first 27 we got. Of the first 50, we have addresses for 27. We've sent out those envelopes. You'll be getting another package of envelopes from Allison with her goodies in them. So it's like it's a double goodie fest.
That's right.
For the podcast, for the patrons. So we thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, coming up, like I said, we're going to be talking about Laura's first Little House crush. That's right.
And we'll talk about the great lessons learned in the love of Johnny Johnson.
Johnny Johnson,
yes.
Yay! But first, from the studios of UPN Go in Burbank, California, me in New York, this is the Little House 50th Anniversary, a podcast. I guess I should take my energy down when I say that because the music is so beautiful. All right, I'll say it nicely. This is the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast. Now that fits. I'll take it down a notch.
Nice.
Okay,
that works.
Okay, Dean, do you want to start talking about the love of Johnny Johnson?
Yeah, no, I'm really raw in this episode. It tears my heart out. I
know when we talked last week, he was like, we have to talk about Johnny Johnson.
I love this episode. And well, let's meet our guest.
All right, let's meet our guest.
Well, no, Allison, well, what do you have to say about the love of Johnny Johnson? I mean, I just think it is one of those, and I don't think it's stretching this at all. It is one of the defining episodes of the series because it teaches a very special lesson about just being human and fitting into the world. And this lesson was taught through Laura and Johnny Johnson. And it's really literally, I think, as a human being, it's one of the most important lessons that any of us learn in our lives.
It's a very sweet episode. Yeah. Okay.
Because Little House really was a show about love and about romance. And if you think about it, many of the Nellie Laura fights were like over a guy.
It was
He's always falling in love with somebody, even in season 1 when Laura is like in the freaking 5th grade.
Yeah. Like 9.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm like, she has a thing for older men, but we'll get to that too. All right.
It's true.
We'll meet our guest now. I'll give you a little bio. He was born in 1956 and began acting at a young age. He made a name for himself in both film and television. Before his arrival on Little House, he was already familiar to audiences from his work in The Reivers, 1969. I just watched a full-on 8-minute trailer for that on YouTube. It's awesome. And as Jamie Hunter on Bonanza, he is unforgettable as the sweet-natured and wide-eyed young boy who captured the affections of Laura Ingalls. While his time on the show was short, that's right, a one episode wonder, as was the case in Prairie all the time.
But an important wonder, yeah.
Yes, his performance left a lasting impression on fans of the series. Please welcome 10-year-old Laura's first Little House heartthrob, Mitch Vogel. Mitch, hi, thank you for being here.
Hello. Oh my God. What an introduction.
Well,
this really is a party, isn't it? You guys party here.
It is.
Wow.
We like to have fun with the Prairie stuff. You know how it is.
That's great. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, this is thrilling.
Listen, Mitch, before we get into everything about this wonderful episode, and there's a lot to talk about, I just have to tell you, as I was watching it the other night, I am blown away in this show that you are working throughout it barefooted.
It's all he could talk about. It's all he could talk about.
I just couldn't believe, as I'm watching you, working barefooted out there. I'm wondering, do they have some sort of sole wired to the bottom of your foot or something? I don't know how you did that.
Well, it's so funny you ask about that because I'll tell you, when I happened to I was at Paramount Studios for something else, and I knew that Michael was shooting there. You guys were shooting there in the stage. So I dropped by to say hi, and he calls the two Melissas over, and he has me stand in between him, and he's looking, and he's going to take your shoes off. So I took my shoes off, which brought me down a ways because I had boots on, and he goes, yeah, I think that might work. So that's why Johnny Johnson is barefoot, basically.
No way.
Seriously?
Yeah, and you were asking about my feet. Well, one of the first days of filming, we were coming down the famous hill. You know, we were walking, I guess, back from school, and I'm a pretty tenderfoot guy, and I was. We did the take, and I remember saying, "How was that?" And he said, "Well, it's great, except we have to do it again." And I said, "Why?" And he says, "Because your elbows were going up like this because I was going."
I don't know how you did that.
What they did was,
yeah,
they ended up getting some leather that had, like, it was adhesive on one side, and they cut it to the shape of my feet, and voila, I was able to walk around without my elbows popping up high in the air like that.
Literally, I just guessed that's maybe what would have happened, because this was a huge point of contention. I'm just going to jump. I'm sorry, Pamela. I'm jumping all over you here because this moment, this is huge. In the beginning of the series, there was a huge creative fight in the executive suites about whether all the kids should be going barefoot all the time. Oh. Ed Friendly, who was the creator of the series, wanted the children working barefoot all the time, and Michael just said, absolutely not. And that was a huge moment there. When I saw you working barefoot, I thought, well, I mean, was this like, was someone trying to make a point here? I mean, how did this work? When I saw you walking up and down that hill, and we've all been at Simi Valley, we know what that feels like.
Well,
the
that's what
rocks,
I was going to say.
Everything.
I was able to run down the hill when I went to Simi, and I couldn't believe how rough it was. Like, I couldn't believe that those girls were able to run down the hill because I could barely do it. It's rough, it's sharp, it's prickly, and the terrain is all over the place. Like, it's not a nice, like, it's not a strolling hill you can just sort of run down. So yes, I can say I too have tried going down and walking. I couldn't have gone barefoot down that hill at all.
I was horrified that you were barefoot, and I remember barefoot. And from Michael, I remember being, oh, thank God for Michael Landon, that reason prevailed. No, they really can't be barefoot all the time. This is not going to work, because first it was hot, and there were lots of sharp little rocks.
Oh, yeah.
And bugs and snakes and twigs and things that bite you. It was a tetanus infection looking for a place to happen. And and the insurance costs if we had the actors running around barefoot. So I remember thinking, God, he's got to have something in the Souls of Sea. They've got to have put something on anything. Oh
I had no idea, because I was watching so closely, and as you're walking up the hill, I didn't detect anything on the bottom of your feet as you're walking so naturally up that hill. I think, oh my God, how is he? This is the greatest acting I've seen on the show.
Exactly.
To be able to deal with that.
Right. That's right.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
My feet were acting.
Yeah,
your feet. You're telling me the choice for you to be barefoot was because with your shoes on you were too tall?
Yeah,
next to the girls.
Yes, exactly. If you remember, in the classroom, I really looked tall.
Well, you were. Yeah, compared to them, you. But
yeah, that
were.
was actually what Michael was thinking when he asked me to take my shoes off. He was thinking I'd be a little bit shorter, and he saw me in between the two Melissas, and he said, "Yeah, I think that's going to work." And then he took me up to his office and showed me the script.
So you were literally just visiting for the day and got booked for that episode.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Had Michael known you from Bonanza? Because you were on Bonanza.
Yeah,
so he already knew you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, how
that's right.
wild.
Yeah, in fact, some of the greatest conversations I had with Michael during when we knew Bonanza, we didn't know actually at the time that it was going to end, but it was like some of the few last conversations I had with him. He was talking to me about Little House on the Prairie. Didn't have the title or anything, but he was talking to me about his ideas of what he wanted to do. And I said, "Oh, that sounds great." And so then when I was at Paramount and I heard that they were filming there, I said, "Yeah, let's go in and say hi."
Wow. See, I didn't realize that chronology was that Michael was in the Little House conversation even before Bonanza ended.
Yeah, like I said, he didn't use the title, but I know he kind
in the
of,
works.
yeah, very roughly talked about what he had in mind to do. So
wow. That's
and I
very
treasure
cool.
those conversations, of course.
I bet that's a very unique piece of trivia. That chronology has never been stated that way before. Our understanding, or my understanding, always was that Bonanza had been canceled, and then he got the script, and that's when it all started. But you're saying he got the script before. Clearly, he had got.
Well,
the
I don't know if he
before.
got the script or not,
but he knew
But he may have been just an idea in his head.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. There's a lot to that. It's a very interesting chronology, but very cool that you had these conversations about this with him while you were working on Bonanza. That's very cool. Now, look, barefoot aside, I love the lessons in this episode. Pamela, tell us. So, give us a little.
Let's give a refresher of a little quick recap of what the episode is for those who might not have seen it as recently as we have. Okay, so those bonnet heads who need a refresher. Here we go. Laura Ingalls has her first crush on a new boy in town, Johnny Johnson. She tries to win his affection, but Johnny is more interested in Laura's older sister, Mary. Which, P.S. appropriate because he's old. Okay, the episode is a. Older. Okay, older.
What, you're supposed to be like 15,
than a
right?
9-year-old.
You're supposed to be 15, Mitch?
Yes.
Yeah.
15?
Okay.
15 were you supposed to be? Yes.
And you were really like 19.
Okay.
Right. I was.
And Laura's like 8, 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she was 10. She was literally, yes.
She's little. 10. So, yeah, of course he's going to be wanting the older sister. Okay, anyway, I diverted. The episode is a gentle exploration of young love, innocence, and the emotional challenges of growing up. Yes, and having an older hot sister. That's the story of Johnny Johnson. It's a really lovely, lovely episode.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you broke her heart, Mitch. I mean, really.
How could you?
I mean, how could you have
actually
done that?
Appropriate? I would be upset if the 15-year-old is like, let's go for it with the 9-year-old.
That's a good point.
Yeah, there's the silver lining.
Right.
Fell in love when they were sort of at least both junior high age, but she would have been like 5th grade and he would have been starting high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And listen, and I think we, as little girls, I think we know how it feels to like look at the older boy and be like, oh, but she actually thought she had a shot.
Well,
their big sister would have a friend, a high school boy, and he would be cute, a high school boy, 14 or 15, and the 11, 10-year-old girl go, oh my God, he's so pretty, I want to be. Yes.
Yeah. But rough with the whole Mary situation. You did lead her on a little bit, Mitch. How do you feel about that?
Yes, I know.
Brutal.
I'm ashamed.
So where was that? So
I can say again, it was acting.
Yes, exactly.
No, and really wonderful too. I have to say, Mitch, I mean, you obviously have been working for quite some time. Well, when did you actually start? How old were you when you started your career?
Well, the first movie I ever filmed was one of Lucille Ball's children in Yours, Mine, and Ours. I played one of Lucy's kids in Yours, Mine, and Ours. Yeah. So that was the very first professional thing that I did.
So that would have been at what age for you?
I was 10 years old.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you could see, I mean, as I'm watching this, and you and I are the same age, as I'm watching this, your experience is so clear on the screen watching you work. There's just this very easy, relaxed, no push of any kind. Yeah. And just there's this sweetness. I
appreciate that.
Yeah, there's this sweetness that it comes out of you. And so I'm trying to think of where you led her on. I know going to the sweetheart tree was the tree. The tree is really the big moment, right?
Fishing.
Yeah.
He agreed to go fishing. He said, sure. She kept inviting him on picnics. And
right.
Like, okay.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
See, and I know in that fishing scene, when you put your head back and go to sleep, and I'm looking at your filthy feet there on the screen, I'm thinking, oh my God, this guy's really walking in this barefooted in this environment. because the feet were absolutely filthy. I'm thinking, you've got to have calluses for days. I was just getting more impressed with you by the moment as I was watching that. I'm sorry. I'm coming back
really
to the feet thing.
over.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Well, I don't know if
coming back
winning,
to the feet again.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I don't want to make too much of that, but I know how rough that ground was. So I just think it was just awesome what you did. So anyway.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So
I do have a question, because although in the thing you're portrayed as the cute boy and Laura falls through, although Mary doesn't seem to want to give you the time of day, Willie comes right out and insults him. Willie just says, well, he looks like a scarecrow. Willie completely.
That's right.
Yeah.
Freckles at all. Now, did you feel insulted by that? Here you were a hot guy, and Willie's going, Jesus, it's a scarecrow. Were you insulted in any way? Did you not
tell
take
you that Johnny was. That was an insult for poor old Johnny. Yeah, the scarecrow thing. Absolutely. But
now, I have to say,
it's such
I'm
a
not
kid
trying to
thing to
put
hear.
forward, but I have to say, having been there, having seen the episode, and looking at, you are way better looking now. Can I just
bless your heart.
How old were you when you filmed that?
So 19, right?
Little House?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was about 19 or 20, something like that.
19 playing 15.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I described you as being 15 years old. I looked at you and said, well, you're clearly older than 15. Just don't know how much older than 15 you are.
Yeah, a few years.
Yeah.
I remember I used to get a lot of parts that I was actually playing younger than I actually was.
Sure. Well, you had this very open face. I mean, you had this very open, honest, aw shucks kind of face, which is terrific. I love I love the lesson of this episode. You can't change yourself to make somebody love you. I mean, how long did it take each of us to learn that lesson? And that's a huge lesson.
Oh boy.
Time for some truth here. I mean, anybody have something? I mean, I've got one because I think it's why it hit me so hard as I'm watching this.
Tell it.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, in junior high, I had such a terrible crush on a girl named Carolyn Hartwell. Horrible crush. And she did not know I was alive because she was dating Mr. All Everything Joe Leadham at the time. And I had Joe. She was dating Joe. Joe was the guy. He was the man in our junior high world. And I had no shot there. And I'm sorry, it's too much information. But I think when you throw yourself at somebody at that young age and there's nothing you can do to turn it, it can be very, very devastating.
Well, I was in love with a boy in 6th grade, junior high as well.
Perfect.
Who couldn't have cared less at all for me. And I remember just pining over him. And then, do you remember I don't know if you guys had it, but when I was in middle school, which is part of why middle school is so horrible, they had these things called slam books where the kids would pass around this notebook, and on the top of every page was a kid's name. And then people could write whatever they wanted about you. And this notebook was passed around the entire school. And somehow I got it in my hands and I opened it to my page, and he had written just the most hateful, awful things about me, just ugly and blah, 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 blah. And it was just like, the worst. Kids suck. I love them. The kids suck.
The kids can be brutal.
Comment before there was an internet.
Oh, thank God.
Slam book. I'd never heard that.
Oh God, just the worst. And I couldn't imagine growing up in the age of the internet. If that's one thing I'm overly grateful for, is that I was not in middle school when the internet had been invented yet. That makes me old, but whatever. I'm glad about it.
I mean,
I think like boys who were older. So I did, and I looked much younger than I was to begin with. When I was 15, I looked 12. It was like that. So it was terrible. I was always crushing on someone, and the age difference thing, like the thing with Mary and Laura and Johnny Johnson. When you're that age, a year is like 8 billion. And Paul, you talked about huge difference for a 15-year-old boy. That's like a million years difference. And when you're older, it's like people get married, they're 10 years apart, but that it's like forever. So in junior high and high school, where being a year ahead of someone is just the end of the world, I would crush on people who were older, and they was just like, why are you even talking to me? Who is these strange girl? And it was just deadly. And it did actually carry on into adulthood. I was full on 19. I was doing Love Boat, and the British actor Anthony Andrews was there. But I was playing younger. I was playing a young teenage girl, and I was dressed like a little teenage twerp. So I tried to talk to him, and it was like, it was, hello, little girl. It was, I was mortified. I was mortified. He thought I was like 14.
So Mitch, what was it like playing these scenes with Melissa Gilbert? Do you remember your experience of filming this episode?
Oh, I absolutely do. I mean, well, Michael has just a wonderful way of bringing not just his talent to the set, but his personality too. At least it was funny because there was two sides. There was the side where everybody felt like a family. It was very, it was a warm set to be on. In fact, in later years when I left Bonanza and after doing Little House and I did other shows and other sets, totally different vibe on other sets. They were very serious and not the same. And again, the family feeling that I shared with Michael on Bonanza, I could feel amongst you guys on Little House, definitely. And obviously, as you can see, that this many years later, we're just still talking about it. And and it's been, by the way, delightful for me to get to know Dean and all of you guys. Most recently, it's great to be able to know you guys and see you guys and hear some of your memories about working on the show.
Well, as we watch these episodes, I have to admit that even after all these years, and maybe I shouldn't admit this, but I'm on this path of watching everything finally. I'd seen.
You mean watching Little House?
All of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Watching all of it. And I have never watched all of it. Huh. I have episodes that I have absolutely loved. This Johnny Johnson episode, Mitch, is one of those episodes, and it speaks to me in this very visceral way. Uh-huh. And I just can only imagine that through the years, young people. You don't have to be a young person. This lesson is universal for people of all ages, that it's so important to be yourself and embrace what's possible and not push yourself into situations that are maybe not so possible. And I don't know how do you see this? I mean, but you're part of something very special. He might not have thought it was
that deep at the time, but
maybe not.
That's definitely true. Yeah, no, I didn't know it was that deep at all at the time. But I can tell you the last event we all did together, I can't tell you how many times fans came up and said exactly that, and how many families, their little kids, not little kid, well, the kids of all ages were watching Little House, and I can't tell you how many times they said to me that it was because of the morals and it was a good thing for these kids to watch. And it was a good thing to see that these families are enjoying the show. These children that are growing up are enjoying it just like the kids back in the day. I think it was great.
Did Michael Landon write this episode? Do you remember?
I don't think he did. And I don't think he directed it either. To add
to that is that Johnny Johnson had a second episode.
Did he?
Yes, it was called To See the World, and him and Mr. Edwards took off, went down to a town, and it was called To See the World, and I think Michael wrote that one.
Oh God! See, so much watching to do. And of course, and fans of the show are saying, "What do you mean he's been on the show and he hasn't seen all the episodes?" But it's a lot of episodes. It's 200 plus episodes.
201-hour episodes. Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. Now, what season was that? Was that season 2?
Was that?
No, I think it was in season 1.
Okay,
also.
so he brought you back in season 1. Okay.
Yeah, I think I looked it up, and I think they were both in season 1, which surprised me. I kind of felt like it might have been in season 2, but no, it was. It had a more comedy aspect to it.
Really?
So Johnny Johnson was not the one-hit wonder like
No.
most of the other students.
Well, and then let's talk about working with Victor French. I mean, what was
Yes.
that? He was so special. My God.
Yes, he
special.
was.
Yeah.
He had a natural talent, but a great sense of humor. And one of the scenes in the show is the plot is about them going to a big city, and Johnny basically wants to run away from home, and he kind of falls. He has a crush on a girl there that works in a saloon. And so Miss Mimi was her name.
Miss Mimi.
Yeah, Laura Ingalls had no shot if he's going for saloon
You're
girl.
looking at Miss Mimi, yeah.
That's why I was
Wrong
called to see
type,
the world.
Laura.
Yeah. So Mr. Edwards' whole thing was to try to get Johnny to want to go back home again. So he kind of gets this saloon girl, Miss Mimi, to kind of break his heart. So he wants to go back home again. So, but there's a scene where
episode. I'm just apologizing because I didn't realize it was you. That's why. Okay, keep going. I want to hear more.
Well, I was just wanted to share one thing about, Michael had a great sense of humor, but one of the scenes is when Johnny Johnson first sees Miss Mimi, he's on his horse and he's kind of, checking her out and watching her. And so the camera's close on Johnny's face and he gets off the horse and then they pull back and he had stepped right in the middle of a trough, a watering trough.
Oh, fun.
And I just remember filming because we rehearsed it so many times. And of course, we didn't get wet. So we had to rehearse it without being in the water. But one of the hardest things I had to do was to keep a straight face when we actually filmed it, because it felt so odd to step off my horse, and step into, 3 feet of water up to my knees and not react to it. And so that's, if you'll see that shot in the show when you watch it.
Oh. Well, I'm going to be watching that tonight.
I know. It's so nice that Michael wanted you to come back again. I mean, really, that didn't happen with the other kids.
Yeah, I really felt fortunate to be able to do that.
Oh.
I guess those Bonanza. Yeah, and I think probably those Bonanza ties really ran.
Oh,
yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pamela, let's take a quick break here, okay?
We're going to take a quick break, everyone, and we'll be back with Mitch Vogel right after this.
When you visit Simi Valley, California, you're stepping into the pages of history. Go from the pioneers to the presidents. Explore beautiful wildflowers, hike through iconic Hollywood locations, and end your day aboard the actual Air Force One at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum. Throughout the summer, take the Little House 50th Anniversary Tour at Big Sky Movie Ranch. Less than 15 minutes from Los Angeles and 30 minutes from Universal Studios, Simi Valley has small-town charm with big-time history. Go to visitsimivalley.com for more information. We are so grateful to visitsimivalley.com for their commitment to presenting the Little House 50th Anniversary podcast.
And we're back. Welcome back. So what are you up to these days, Mitch? I know you were in Connecticut for the festival out there, but what are you doing? What has your life been post Little House?
Well, basically,
long time.
Yeah, I kind of got out of acting and got into music for a while. So I play guitar and bass and sing, and I got involved in several groups. We tried the music thing, did a CD and things like that, which is harder to stay busy in than acting, actually. And then as I got older, of course, I couldn't play kid parts anymore, but I really was distracted into music. And that happened for a while, but frankly, I actually, family was important to me. I met my wife, whom I'm married to today. We're going to celebrate our 39th anniversary this year.
Oh, so, congratulations.
So I kind of got away from the acting thing to do music, and that's kind of what turned me away from it. And so nowadays I'm living a happy life in the Central Coast here, a beautiful area with a wonderful family. I've got 3 beautiful grandchildren and my 2 beautiful daughters, and I become a family guy basically, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Mitch. Good for you.
How did you get contacted about the Little House 50th celebrations and everything?
Was it you, Dean? Did you contact me?
I bet it was Susan McCrae.
Oh, you know what?
I bet it was Susan McCrae.
You're right, and my wife just
Susan.
reminded me that it was Susan McCrae.
Yeah.
That's right, because
Yeah.
they did a tribute to Kent McCrae and Michael
Yes.
at the event, and
Yes.
she's the one that thought it might be fun for me to be there. And that's exactly right. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah,
Dean.
no,
I
it was
forgot about
it was a wild weekend, I have to say, but it was fun to see so many people
Yes.
that we had not. I mean, you were there, Tracy Savage was there. You know, that was a really nice thing to see those faces. It was a challenging circumstances, but on we go. You know, maybe Mitch, in 2025, when we do this again, there will be opportunities to include you again, and you need to. Send me your contact information via email.
Don't worry, no one will ever know.
I will not. I will not share it in the show notes. Just send me via email. Send me your contact information, and I can.
Yeah, I think Johnny Johnson's going to be coming back for more than just 2 episodes. Yes.
Yeah. No, I think you should be because
Susan cracked you down.
Yeah, really.
I'd
were you
love to do that.
Were you surprised by the fact that 50 years later, Little House is still actually stronger than it ever has been, and also the response to you? Did you think people really knew who you were, or were you surprised by that?
I was surprised. And when I was at the event, and you know, they can also attest to this. All 3 days there were long lines everywhere.
Yeah, huge.
People just wouldn't stop. They just kept coming and coming and coming, and it was
stop.
It was great. Yeah, it was wonderful. And as far as in the future, I'd love to be involved. Absolutely.
All right. Well, let's see what we can do.
It was something that I didn't plan on it being as big as it is, but I can't tell you how many times that the fans used to come and say, "It's Johnny Johnson."
Yeah,
and I heard that a million times, and it just made me laugh every time. But I think the response is out there. People just are, of course, still in love.
I think it resonates with people because of the message of the episode.
Yeah,
and you become symbolic of something that every young person has experienced, sort of reaching up to try and, find that special somebody in the world who's older than they are, and have it not work out. And I think, but what's nice about it is, there was never hostility about it. There was no joking. There was no, you didn't make an object of Laura's, you didn't make her feel bad for the disappointment. You just were being who you were. You were following your heart, just characters following his heart, and just interested somewhere else. And tough for you, the person you were interested in had absolutely zero interest in you. So, isn't that the way it works?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
No, the reason why I asked earlier if Michael wrote this, I'm always fascinated by Little House, because it seems like men usually wrote these scripts, but they're talking from a female perspective, oftentimes a little girl's perspective. And it's so accurate to a girl's experience. And it always sort of amazes me that these men write these episodes, or Michael Landon specifically writes these episodes that are so multifaceted of what the female experience is. I always just find that really striking and sort of amazing. I will also say, in this episode, Ma and Pa have super sexy time during this episode.
Well, I think that's a big part of it too, because Laura is looking at this and asking questions,
comparing it to her dad and her mom.
Yeah.
But he comes in, he kisses her neck. I mean, I don't remember ever seeing that in other episodes. They're really they're getting some nice special private time in this episode.
Yeah. No, I think it's. It was all part of this magic of drawing Laura into asking these questions. And when did you know that Pa was interested, and and all of that? And of course, she's trying to create Laura's trying to create those moments with Johnny Johnson.
Yeah.
and with the
and,
picnics and the fishing and all of this stuff. It was just really, really fun.
One thing I need to say is that Melissa Gilbert is a wonderful actress.
Oh my God.
And
Yes.
she brought it, and
She did.
and as you're pointing out, it's a very honest episode. It's very honest and true, but Melissa just knocks it out of the park when it comes to her character there, and she brought a depth to the character, and that was one thing that I really enjoyed being on the set. And all the actors, they were very much in tune with their characters. I was frankly used to that working on Bonanza, and I saw that replicated when I visited the Little House set. So, kudos to Melissa Gilbert, because she was wonderful in that part.
Especially for a 9 or 10-year-old having to
Exactly.
play that too. Yeah, pretty
Absolutely.
amazing. Have you watched the episode recently? When was the last time you saw it?
Oh, no, I haven't. Not recently. I think I will now.
I know. I wonder
so
what your
good.
experience is when
so
you
good.
revisit it. I really do.
It's kind of funny because, and I don't know how the other actors feel about this, but I didn't, when I used to see it right after we filmed it, I was going, oh, I could have done that.
Oh, of course.
Always.
Always.
And then I don't watch it for years, and then I watch it like now, like years later, and I can kind of watch it as like an audience member rather than somebody who was in it.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's better.
Allison and Dean, do you do that also? I know I do that. In fact,
absolutely.
Just yesterday, I was reviewing some old footage of myself that I never used because I couldn't stand. I just was like, oh, I hate how I look. I didn't do that well. I don't like. Ugh. Right. And it had been a couple of years since I'd seen it. And I just found it on my computer and I watched them. I was like, oh, this is really good. This is really good. Because you have to remove yourself from the experience of doing it.
Absolutely.
To get any kind of perspective on it.
That's
do
right.
you guys go through that too, Allison? Do you go through that?
Yeah, I totally concur with that. Allison, yeah.
I'll see something really. I just watched something actually the other day that was so old. George Slater's Just for Laughs comedy special with Don Adams and Connie Steve. It was so random. And it was one of those 70s things. And I did stand up in it, and it was in a sketch. I was 15. It was that thing. And so I remember doing it and going, well, at the time I did my stuff in front of the live audience. Yeah. Some people didn't. Some of the grown-ups were having to do tape, and I was doing a lot. So I must have been, they saw something there, but I hadn't seen it. And I thought, well, this is going to suck. I mean, I'm going to go, well, it wasn't that I thought, oh, was I bad then? Well, no, but then they had a bunch of jokes that they wrote that I didn't, that were like, eh. And so I'm like, oh man, I watched it and I was stunned. I went, this is like good. This is like not terrible at all.
Why do we do it to ourselves?
I looked calm, like I knew what the hell I was doing too, which was weird because I went, I should be terrified right there. Why am I not terrified? So I often go back and watch things and go, wait, that's not awful. Oh my God.
Yeah. No, Mitch, I think you'll be really pleased. Your performance is really, as Dean said, it's so honest and it's so sweet. And your interactions with Melissa Gilbert they're really lovely. Really. I mean, you see why she fell in love with you. And you can see why your tenderness towards her is because you're with her as a little kid, being really sweet to a little kid. Yes. It's really nice.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
The episode was directed by Bill Claxton, who was Michael's. Yeah. Michael was the lead director. Bill was the alternate director for a great deal of the series. Bill had a wonderful touch with people. He was so easy. When you did Bonanza, I mean, Bill was directing there too, so you had to have known him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he was incredible. So simple, said very little to people, didn't have to say much. He was great. He was really great. And the episode was written by Jerry Day. Now I see Jerry. And that with Gerry. I mean, Jerry Day could be a man or woman.
Or a woman.
I'm not sure in this case. And forgive me for not knowing the answer to that, that is. But it was not Michael's episode. Although Michael rewrote every episode. And it may be from a word here to word there to maybe a wholesale rewrite of scenes. He didn't take writer's credits away from people, but he had a touch. He had a hand in every episode.
Yeah.
That was a very big, important part of what he did. So Michael had his hand on it, definitely.
Mitch, did you stay in touch with Michael at all? Or, it's everyone thinks everyone stays in touch after we do these shows together, and you want to. And so often it just doesn't, life happens and you lose touch. But was there any further connection afterwards?
Unfortunately not, no.
Yeah.
But I'd like to share something though about working with him as director.
Oh, please.
That I noticed is that even though he wrote the script, and this was back on when I did Bonanza, but he wrote the script and he directed it. And whenever he had a scene to do, it wasn't like he just said, cut, print, all right, let's move on. He had a lot of trust in his assistant director, who I think for one of the shows that I'm remembering this with was, I think Charlie Scott was his name. But anyway, he trusted his assistant director enough to where he would ask him, hey, when he did a scene, say, or really an emotional scene or something like that, he would ask his assistant director, how was that? Do you think, did it work? Do you think I should do it again? And so that's how much Michael cared about it. That showed me that he was really, really concerned about the performance, as opposed to being an ego-filled director, just going, oh, I'm sure that was great, and moving on to the next scene. So that's one thing I just remembered about him that made me obviously have even more respect and look up to him even more, knowing that that's how much he cared about his performances.
Wow.
I think that's pretty cool. I had sort of a different experience.
I know. I was just about to say that's interesting. Fast forward, 10 years later?
Yeah, years later, and after doing my first scene on the show, which was not an emotional scene, but I went up to Michael afterwards as the scared young actor that I was, and just asked him, "Was that okay?" And he didn't appreciate the question at all. And I think at that point he had done so much that I think his point of view was, if I say cut, print, we're done. That's it. And Michael didn't negotiate performances. He didn't, at least by the time I came along. When he said, this is how it is, that's how it was. And the show benefited from that. But I think that's really interesting that you watched this as a young actor and watched Michael approach his first assistant and ask if it was okay.
Dean, how does that make you feel? Does that make you feel... I mean, does it make you feel validated, or does it make you feel like,
I knew the question wasn't an unreasonable question to have, right. but it did teach me not to ask those kinds of questions of Michael, because at that point he had reached this, he was supremely confident in what he was doing by the time I came along. It is sort of validating that young actors or actors at any stage can be nervous and uncertain. And, so in that sense, Pamela, it is validating that my question was not completely out of bounds. It was, it was the reaction that was a little shocking, but the question was not an unreasonable question.
And I think that's it. When he was coming up, he did train himself by saying, is this okay? But then by the time you came, he was like, no, you must trust me. Put your trust in me.
Oh, totally.
That if I said print translates to, yes, you did the scene really well.
Exactly.
Print
I wasn't at a point where I could see that it was my first day. I didn't see all the years of experience. I was filtering this totally through my own anxiety of, was this okay? Yeah. So anyway, Mitch, I think that's very interesting, very interesting insight that you would share that. That's
info.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think we need to be thinking about running for the exits here.
Too quickly.
Yeah.
Mitch, thank you so much for joining us. This has been really such a treat for us, and I'm super excited for 2025 and seeing you at future events and everything.
Well, thank you. It's really been a party. It's been fun. It's really been
Party.
great. Yeah, no, thank you again for inviting me. And it's been my pleasure, my extreme pleasure. And I do look forward to next year.
Good.
No, that's
So do
that's
we.
awesome. Yes, so you'll send me that contact information. Oh, because I know where you are now. I've got your email address. So yeah.
I
So
definitely will. And thanks again for
Oh, sure.
inviting me, you guys. I really, really appreciate it.
you're so welcome.
Of course.
You're so welcome.
All right, everyone. That's our show. Please join us on our socials, Little House 50 Podcast, or our website, littlehouse50podcast.com. All of our doings will be in the show notes below. So check us out. Check us out what we're doing. Merch store coming soon, like I said, and we'll keep you posted. Everybody, this has been wonderful. Thank you, Johnny Johnson. And it's that time, Bob. Go get the wig. Mitch, we're going to fly down the hill now in our ending credits. If you want to join us.
Okay.
Airplane arms, airplane arms.